Here, it's a fantastic atmosphere here, and the red, white and blue flag's been distributed to everybody. They've even given us a couple here in our studio, as you can see. A real sense of optimism, but of course that can get pricked very quickly.
Yeah, as you said, it's always like this before the game, but in the last 10 years we cried many times, after the game. I think today there are lots of expectation. We think really in France that if there's a time to beat England, it's now, even if you reach the final of the World Cup, because you didn't play together in the last 4 months. You had this Saracens issue, other players really concentrating on that game. But the French team is really trying to start a new story, and that's now or never.
Martin, I heard the former England coach Dick Best talking this week, and he said, you prepare for victory tomorrow by winning today. Would you go along with that as a philosophy?
Well, I think for England, these games are always very dangerous. You're playing a rejuvenated French team. You can see the atmosphere now. They could come out and hit the ground at 100 miles an hour from the first minute. They have the capability to play with that emotion. So England, every game you play is massively important, and you've just got to keep on winning. If you win, even if it's not the greatest performance, it's always the best place to be on Monday morning, looking back saying we can get better, but we still get over the line. So, I agree with the selection, and they've got to produce a performance today.
I think it's a huge ask to expect this. It's exciting as this French team look from 9 to 15. The unknowns are in the pack, and this is where the game is won and lost. Are they fit enough? Are they mentally hard enough? And can they contain with this pressure and expectation? How can they come together so quickly as a team? I think it's a really huge ask.
So does that lead us on to Eddie Jones's pre-match conversations about brutality and England beating up France?
Well, you can come out with all that enthusiasm, but after 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes, half an hour into the second half, England have got to make them come up against cold, hard reality, and that is, we know how to win games. George talked about it. We'll find a way. We have to adapt, if that's what we need to do, our tactics, to try and beat you.
Yeah, I think every game's underpinned by brutal physicality. Every team talks about that. I mean, we've got to ditch this narrative of 19 new players, only 4 new caps in the French team. I've just looked at the midfield. Vakatawa and Tuolangi going heads up, and Gael Fiku versus Farrell. All those guys are 100 kilos plus. They could be playing in the forwards. So we talk about French flair, but I'm expecting a lot of crash bash up the middle today, and I think physicality isn't just going to be up front in the forwards. We're going to see a lot in the backs as well.
Very dangerous back line for France. If I saw that, if I was playing against that, I'd be very, very nervous.
So what do we think?
I'm confident of England, the continuity, the experience against inexperience, the winning mentality, and Ford and Farrell kicking access. For me, England by 6+.
You never know with France, but I think the smart money is England probably just get on top towards the end.
That's the start of a new decade, France by 10 points.
No, do you believe that?
Yeah, I believe that.
I'll have a bet with you afterwards. Dylan?
Do I really need to answer?
Well, it actually almost feels like a World Cup final. Just the most fantastic atmosphere here in the Stade, which can often be a bit flat and a bit lame sometimes, but there's a real sense of expectation and anticipation and excitement today. And we're just about ready to go. Back in Europe, just 2 days after leaving. So will there be any kind of a Japanese hangover, or is this the start of something even better from Eddie Jones's England? And the World Cup final will be here in Paris in 4 years' time. How much would the French love this to be the start of a road that takes them to that? After the anthems, commentary comes from Paul O'Connell, Brian Moore and Eddie Butler.
Mesdames et messieurs, pour interpréter le concert du Queen et la Marseillaise, merci d'accueillir chaleureusement le Queen, le 100% Casco, porté par le Festival international des bandas de Coulon et le département du Génis.
Ladies and gentlemen, in honor of England, the anthem God Save the Queen. Mesdames et messieurs, en l'honneur de l'équipe d'Angleterre, l'hymne God Save the Queen.
God Et maintenant, mesdames, messieurs, en l'honneur de l'équipe de France, la Marseillaise.
And so a new age of rugby begins after the World Cup with a massive roar here at the Stade de France. It's very much a young, new-look France. Bernard Leroux is the oldest player in the team. He's 30. Everybody else in their 20s. Charles Olivon, the new captain, and Virimi Vakatawa, the real threat. He is in prime form in the centre. Rattez, a newcomer to the wing. A late change in the French back three, but there is promise galore in that back line. England went to the World Cup final in style. Why change all that much? Charlie Ewell's coming into the second row. Maro Itoje is one of the English stars. And at fullback, George Furbank wins his first cap. Owen Farrell will captain England, will start the game. The replacements will pour onto the field later, barring injury early on. There will be new caps there for a couple. Boris Palou, Cameron Walkie, more 20-somethings looking for their big opportunity. Momo Aouas, the new French tight head prop. Wonderful character, the troubled soul in his youth, got into trouble with the police, joined the Navy, started to play rugby, and here he is playing for France, facing the likes of Manu Tuilagi. Oh, Brian, there's a great atmosphere here.
There is the version of the Marseillaise, which has just taken place. It is as loud as I can ever remember it.
They're optimistic here in France at the moment, and I think rightly so for the first time in a long time. They've great players, but they've always had great players. They've invested now in some very good coaching, and I think that's what they've been missing for a few years.
A referee from Wales, Nigel Owens. Huge experience. He may need it. It could be a little bit tasty early on, the start of the new World Cup cycle. This is always one of the defining fixtures of the Six Nations. But when you start again, well, this game in particular could be a signpost to the way European rugby goes in the next 4 years.
Well, one of the things that England managed to do under Eddie Jones, they managed to start games very quickly, and they need to do that straight away. Make sure that the French don't get the opportunity to get in and amongst them and dictate the pace and the emotion of the game.
Off we go! The first Sunday of the Six Nations. France against England in Paris. Gregory Aldrit, the number 8, does well to turn a battering retreat into a few steps in the right direction. Maro Itoje makes his first tackle of the game. Antoine Dupont, France's scrum half, waits patiently there. There will be a hurry up for the scrum halves in those situations at the base of the ruck. The first touch for George Furbank, and he gets the ball in field. Johnny May sets off on a run. Crunching tackle on him on halfway. George Ford, there will be a tester for France's new fullback. Anthony Boutier, safe with the mark.
I was pitch side for the warm-up. You may not see it, but it was a light smattering of drizzle during the warm-up. The balls got very wet. Both sides during the warm-up put an awful lot of ball down, both England and France. So it's definitely going to have an effect on the game.
Anthony Boutier, who was playing rugby up in Vannes in Brittany. Not really the rugby heartland, but here he is at the Stade de France, and the crowd sets off again. Itoje wins the line out, thrown in by Jamie George. Ben Youngs waits. He's going up into the Parisian sky. Well taken. Vincent Rattez into a bit of trouble. England have a territorial gain.
Well, in the end, England coping with that just slightly too far. That's two of their kicks that have just gone a little bit too far, but a good recovery tackle, and meaning England on their off.
Quickly, there's a little bit of enterprise. Owen Farrell line out. Well, he didn't have to jump for it, but involved. Joe Marler sets it up in midfield. A sort of different approach to the game from England, prepared to form this maul in midfield after a line out won by Owen Farrell. Ben Youngs, patient. George Ford dinks it forward, straight out. No.
It's interesting to watch England. Obviously wary of the conditions. They're kicking the ball quite a lot already and probably taking a bit of the sting out of the French legs. I think France are obviously going to be massively up for this game after their World Cup exit, and giving them nothing to hit early on will be important for England.
Julien Marchand, not entirely new to this international game, but it's only his third cap, and France's line-up goes wrong, and Sam Underhill comes away for England there for Youngs. Jamie George drives on. England now within driving distance. Johnny May on the far, on the near side, waits. Will it come his way? Ford, Tom Curry can't take the ball. France clear their lines, only as far as Elliot Daly. Charles Olivon, the new captain, with the assist in the tackle. It's gone forward. England have a man down. Courtney Laws slow to get back. Dupont caught in possession. It is fast and furious at the start. A little breakout. Cyril Bay leading the way, the tight head. Untamak drives it downfield. Furbank, cool and calm in his first test match.
Slight overthrow there from France. The overthrow sometimes is a lot worse than the underthrow because the opposition pick it up at the back of the line-out, and that's what France need to get right. You know, you need to be able to exit out of your own half. A solid line-out should be a part of that. Karim Gazelle is the new French line-out coach. He used to coach Lyon, who would have had the best line-out in the top 14 for the last 3 years. So disappointing from France. They got to get their basics right. A few balls down already, you see. As I said, it is quite wet there.
When you're talking about the basics, Paul, England twice in the French 22, you would expect them to be able to keep the continuity together, but they couldn't because the ball escaped under contact, and whether that's because of the pressure, the Sean Edwards type defence, or simply the fact that they're making errors because the ball is not, you know, ideally suited, they've got to cut those out from an England point of view.
Francois Cross this time does manage to win. Line-out ball for France. Vakatawa, such a running threat. By sent back. Dupont. This little glimpse of Ficou. Boutier in attack. Thunderous charge onto the ball. Teddy Thomas is clear. Thomas! 5 meters out, France. Play on, says Nigel Owens. It's a scramble for the ball. It's gone backwards. Dupont, Ntamak, Ficou, Vakatawa cuts inside. Left wing, Rates over the ball now. Awas drives up. Leroux, the second row forward. Back they come. It's the inside pass. Try Vincent Rates. And France's Six Nations bursts into life.
Well, you can hear just how popular that score was, and England undone by two simple lateral shifts earlier on with Thomas, and then the one for the scoring opportunity. This is the original break by Thomas. So I did well actually to bring him down there as a one-on-one, but this again, simple lateral shift and missed tackle. That's all it took.
It's great to see the French wingers working so hard. Teddy Thomas coming off his wing for the first line break, and then Rates just inside Ntamak here for the try. Great play, great quick ball. Great to see from France. Great to see their wingers working so hard. You normally see that from the English wingers. Johnny May, Elliot Daly, always trying to get their hands on the ball. Jack Nowell, when he plays, always trying to get their hands on the ball. Teddy Thomas is a really, really big man. He's electrically fast, but he's incredibly big as well. And France probably don't have a lot of massive carriers in their pack, but they have a few in their back line.
The singing dips to allow Romain Ntamak his conversion. Vakatawa looks injured. He's not leaving the pitch. Inside pass. Ntamak to Vincent Rates.
Missed tackle by Ben Youngs.
England have to gather themselves. It is such a hostile environment here. Wonderful atmosphere. Ford high into the 22. That's excellent follow-up by Elliot Daly. Beautifully positioned restart kick.
Well, this gives England the ideal opportunity to try and build something and get a score back immediately.
If they're in late, no numbers, okay? You have time.
Joe Marler takes his place in the line-out. England with the throw. Jamie George. Itoje down quickly. Ford to Tuilangi. France have to put three tacklers against Tuilangi. It's available for England. George drives on. Ford again, long. Oh, and Furbank just had to stoop. It's gone loose. Thomas. He knows there's an advantage being played. France clear their lines. Advantage over. Owen Farrell tempted to take it quickly.
I think Furbank probably should have held that pass. It wasn't perfect. It was a little bit low, but he probably should have held it. A wet ball again. Big carry from Tuilangi. This is what he does so well.
Surprised, Paul, given that that's a planned move, that there aren't more immediate support players where to carry on that drive. He had to fight himself and was eventually knocked back by a second row.
An England line-out goes astray, and the speed of Julien Marchand, France's hooker. Oh, Olivon couldn't catch the ball. It's gone forward. Leroux will have to stop. The game will have a pause.
It's the second time Itoje has managed to do that. Get his hands over the top of the ruck and get a hand to the number 9. A missed line-out from England. It's not like them. Very good line-out under Steve Borthwick. There's Itoje again. He did that 5 meters from the English line as well. He's always causing problems. He's obviously a fantastic player, but he's incredible work rate off the ball as well in defence.
I think what Eddie Jones will be concerned about is the fact that French players on contact have been making gains beyond the tackle. And you've played here, Paul, and when that happens and the tails get up and the crowd get behind, it's an extremely difficult thing to defend when you're going backwards. You've got to stop it at source and make sure you do not get across that game line.
Good pressure, keep it up.
England, good, steady scrum. It's gone a little bit awry. Tom Curry, he's not an experienced number 8. France come away with it. Antoine Dupont, it's gone forward for a kick downfield by Ficou. Furbank is there. We'll go back to the point of the kick, or shall we have a 22?
It was a great scrum from England. They went forward. They looked very strong.
Can you understand why he didn't just keep the ball in and look for the penalty?
I can't, Brian. You're probably right. Yeah, especially in these conditions, a penalty in this area of the field is massive. It's 50 metres down the pitch. It's hard to make progress in these conditions when it's so wet. But good scrum. They'll have been nervous about that first scrum after the World Cup final in England. It was the strong scrum. The control at the back was poor. Yeah,
just missed it, didn't he?
Curry just didn't bring it with him.
I think the idea was to do that. Curry not habitually number 8.
Same again, please.
We're back where we started. Gaël Ficou's kick over the dead ball line, scrum back here.
Shoulders. Okay. Shoulders.
England with the put-in.
Crouch. Bind.
Anthony Boutier looks on from a long way back. France's fullback. Ben Youngs has the ball safely this time. George Ford towards Boutier.
Okay, you're on now, okay.
Well taken by Boutier. Dupont looks up. Olivon this time does catch the ball. Dupont again. Did it come off of England hand? I think it did. So France will have the throw-in.
You can hear Nigel Owens there very quickly calling use. They've put the referees under pressure to not allow these caterpillar rucks to occur where there's one player behind another player behind another player. So he's putting under pressure to play quickly. Two great takes for Boutier in his debut in the wet conditions.
Olivon wins the line-out. Ntamak to Ficou. Teddy Thomas again off his wing. France looking dangerous. Vates cuts inside Owen Farrell. England try to hold up the left winger. Ford quickly through. Good speed and awareness by George Ford. Paul Willemse, Bernard Leroux's partner in the second row. Aldrit with the light green scrum cap, the number 8.
Not a problem.
Courtney Laws, not a problem where he was. Ntamak. Elliot Daly goes high, can't get it. It comes down to Olivon. It's all France at the moment. Ficou to Ilangi. Tracked him well. But here comes that attacking threat. Vakatawa. France menacing again through Dupont. Elliot Daly had to make an important tackle. England's 11. Ficou in amongst the forwards. Oh, England flying in from the side. Penalty advantage, France. Willemse, Dupont. Vakatawa on that far side. Tight up against the touchline, right in England's corner. Itoje waits, close, makes the tackle. No advantage, back to the penalty.
Well, you can see just how influential Dupont is, not only in marshalling where the ball is going with his forwards, but he's also a constant threat around the fringes. Even when players think they've got hold of him, he manages to make ground and distribute the ball.
Good play by France there. There isn't a lot on. It's slow ball. They put it up in the air, and it's a great win in the air by Teddy Thomas. You see Itoje at the side of all the rucks. He's creeping up the side of all the rucks, and he knows the ball is wet. He's actually going to almost punch the ball out of the ball carrier's hand. Big tackle from Owen Farrell. Vakatawa's very hard to get down. He's had a great season with Racing. I watched him in the Racing Munster games. He was excellent for them. He's very, very fast for such a big man. He has great late footwork. And I suppose with the tackle going lower and lower, to have a tall man like that who likes to offload, who can offload, is excellent.
Few injury worries. Owen Farrell, I think, took a bang to his shoulder making the tackle. Vakatawa the receiver of the tackle. Both players intact. Romain Ntamak.
10 metres from the mark, so behind the line.
Nigel Owen
Behind the
sending
line.
England back behind the goal line
10
because
metres from the mark, thank you.
they have to be 10 metres from
Sorry,
the mark
Roman.
of the penalty.
Time on.
Ntamak is accurate. Romain Ntamak puts France into double figures. More worrying news for England is that Manu Tuilagi is coming off the field. He is off the field, and Jonathan Joseph is already on.
Well, make no mistake about it, England need to register some form of score now. 10-0 behind, 15 minutes gone, not been into the game. Have been second best in most areas.
George Ford just halting at the restart. Fabien Galtier with the glasses there to his left. Rafa Ibanez. A new think tank. Gregory Aldrit with the catch.
Remind me to have a word with him, okay? Stolen before.
Stolen by England. Tom Curry, quick hands. Courtney Laws comes away with it into the French 22. Ben Youngs, little snipe from England's scrum half. Good response after going 10 points to 0 down. Bai makes a tackle. Here goes Joe Marler. Marchand hanging on to big Joe Marler's legs. Forward to the newcomer, Jonathan Joseph. Johnny May spins out of the tackle of Teddy Thomas. Tom Curry on the charge. Forward again. Sam Underhill. Joseph. Tackled by Ntamak. Courtney Laws. The French crowd appreciating every tackle. Kyle Sinclair with a clever, quick pass. The tight head prop. Forward again, tries to dance inside, outside, Ntamak. Ben Youngs again. Fullback, Furbank. No way through yet for England, but it's patient enough. They retain possession. Sinclair again. Leroux with the tackle. Now comes the change of tactic. Ntamak waits underneath it. Safe mark made.
You see the problem there. England, 15 phases, actually went backwards nearly 20 metres. When it came down to it, felt the only option was to kick and then overkicked.
Yeah, great defensive set from France. It'll give them a lot of confidence. It's probably easier, a little bit easier to defend in the conditions. A big moment for Sean Edwards and the new defensive system he has in place.
It's a very long clearance, quickly taken by George Ford to the other George. Furbank dinks it forward. Dupont read it well. Joseph with a tackle. Courtney Laws over the ball as well. Marchand sets it up.
Play on.
Aldrit.
Stolen by White before and backwards.
It was stolen by England, but
Thanks, guys. Thank
then
you.
it was
Stay
sort of...
Okay, stay down now.
It went at an angle to Aldrit.
Hughes! No, please.
Kyle Sinclair. England hands on the
Touch
ball.
deflect, touch deflect.
Olivant knocks it on. Rates.
Forward.
Olivant comes away with it. This would be taken to a review, but for the moment, Charles Olivant is a try scorer for France, the captain.
Okay, thank you. Try is good.
Well, we will look at the review, but one thing you have to say from the sidelines, England stopped playing. Whatever happens, you cannot simply assume something is going to take place. The kick originally touched, I think, Maro Itoje, so any French player in front would have been onside. I don't know if that is all they will look at, but England stopped playing.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Itoje is such a nightmare for Nines to play against. He managed to get his hands on that Nines box kick there. Yeah, Nigel Owens is going to check it. The TMO will have mentioned to him that he has something to check now. But Maro Itoje is such a nightmare for Nines to...
So on this kick ahead, Nigel, just have a look at number 7, Blue.
It was touched in flight by White. You mean there, yes?
Yes. Just need to check if this has hit Blue 7.
I can see the man.
No, here.
Is he in front when he comes forward there? That's the only thing. If he is in front, then he's offside. He's level, and then the try will count.
Does it come off Courtney Laws?
Yeah, it looks like it comes off Olivon to me.
Comes off Olivon first and then off Laws.
Okay,
if it goes forward from Olivon onto Laws and then backwards, it's still a knock-on.
No, that goes backwards. I think it goes backwards, then onto Laws. It's whether, for me, the winger Rates is actually behind.
Yes, it's come off the hand of the White player, and then Blue have collected it.
Backwards onto Laws.
It's not a knock-on.
Okay, so
it's not a knock-on, so the French players, Olivon's not...
If you watch here,
no
his left hand,
by Olivon.
Blue hands at any stage.
Blue player, the Olivon, that goes back there,
that's
that goes
the
backwards.
arm of the White player.
It hits
that
Laws.
Okay,
that's fine.
So
I just wonder if Rates is onside. If they decide he is, it's going to count.
Brian McNeice.
We were just checking that it hadn't come off the blue hand. Blue hand hasn't touched it. It was knocked back by White. The try will stand and it's good. Okay.
The TMO.
Yeah.
The try has been awarded. Courtney Laws got the all-important contact.
Well, England are facing a bit of a crisis now. Well, not a bit, a crisis.
And Tamak. Beautiful strike by Romain Tamak. 2 converted tries, 1 penalty. France lead by 17 points to 0.
Scotland got no luck yesterday against Ireland, but 2 big pieces of luck there for France. It's good play by Itoje to get the block down, but it ends up falling into Olivon's path. He knocks it back just barely.
I could have missed it, okay? Say my name first and then the offence. You're going to same way, George.
Just a bit of luck for France. 17-0 lead.
France face another restart from George Ford. It's very well placed again, but Aldrit makes ground.
And he is doing what Vunipola does, or did Billy for England. He's making contact and then ground, and that's the difference.
Dupont, long downfield. Furbank under instructions from George Ford to go high. Aldrit couldn't catch it first time, but away comes France.
Release 2.
Momo Awas
Stay Blue.
safely on the ball. France happy to pin England back in their 22. George Ford improves his angle.
Stay 4. Okay.
And Tamak
Stay Blue.
keeps it on the park.
Stay White.
Ford
Okay.
sends it off the park, quickly back in by Tamak Boutier.
Stay Blue.
A little bit of ping pong at the park, at the stade. And on it goes. Elliot Daly that time. Anthony Boutier, the ball goes out of play. I suppose there's a net gain for England.
Well, people don't understand what's going on there. Seems aimless kicking, but you're waiting for someone to make a mistake or drop the ball short so you can run. But from an England point of view, that's a good return for them. Throwing inside the French half now. Can they do anything with it?
Delivery to Owen Farrell in the centre. Jonathan Joseph. Good clear-out work. Jamie George, tackled by Leroux. Ford. Furbank has dropped the ball. Ford watched it, and again it was Martez who led the charge downfield.
Yeah, it's not a great day to be chasing a 17-0 lead. It is hard to play. Furbank probably should have held that one again. And these are the opportunities that'll come France's way now. They have to try and play in England's half, or put them under pressure with their line speed and try and force those kind of mistakes.
And up for the ball. Okay? Complete the ball, not the man.
Well, every sympathy for Furbank playing with a ball which is slightly slippery, but he is on his debut, but this is international rugby. You're going to sink or swim.
One by number 6 for France, Francois Cross. So England struggling for primary possession. Dupont after the little clear-up work by Awas. Some relief for England.
You were off your feet. Thanks for the turnover.
Great poach from Tom Curry. Very clear picture for the referee. No knees on the ground, no hands on the ground. It'll give England good field position now. Great penalty.
Yeah, okay.
Owen Farrell with the kick.
It's Aldridge's line-out steal. England trying to exit with 4-man. Cross. Oh, sorry, Cross's line-out steal. Excellent line-out steal, and great work here from Tom Curry. He's top class over the ball at the ruck.
Now, will England go off the top, or will they have the courage to catch and drive this? Bring more men in, give more room outside when the ball does go back.
It's OJ with the catch. Jamie George on the ball. France want to turn it towards the touchline. George steers it the other way. Ben Youngs waits. Owen Farrell hard onto the ball, close to the forwards. Now Kyle Sinclair. Itoje arrives, clears out Aldrit. Thumping tackle on Underhill by Bernard Leroux. England, though, still in possession.
Play on, play on, play on, play on, play on.
Curry turns, rolls, delivers. Sinclair sets off the long way round. And it's been stolen by France, who thumped the ball with a huge spiral kick downfield, and it's a long chase back for George Ford. Oh, that's a magnificent clearance by France.
Third time ball, third turnover by England in the 22, and that's what, well, it's a phenomenal result for France, but
yeah, great defence from France, and this was Scotland's problem as well against Ireland yesterday. When they got close to the line, they turned balls over. And what a kick from Boutier there. What a debut the 27-year-old is having. What a pressure line out here now from England. And they haven't been rock solid at line-out time today.
What a contrast, Brian. You're
exactly
throwing in their 22, and now
but
it's
also
a very
contrast between
one.
The game as far as Boutier is concerned and his opposite number, Furbank.
Courtney Laws, but it's gone loose again, and England have to scramble the ball clear. Actually, that's a very good
fair, that's
clearance.
a phenomenal clearance in the circumstance, but not what was planned, not what was needed in terms of delivery.
Yeah, excellent line-out win from England, but well upset by France. It's not the kind of delivery you want, but a great kick.
Keep the line in, please, okay?
Maro Itoje in the middle of the line-out. Olivon, France's captain, behind him. That's Well won by Charlie Ewells for England. Another steal at the set piece. It's both sides struggling to secure their own ball, and it's another mistake by England. This time Owen Farrell just taking his eyes off it.
Too many people there. They're going to get ball to come quick enough.
Yeah, it's even worse than I thought it was. And you know, when you go 17-0 down, you start making a few mistakes. You start repeating. Poor line out here from France. Good steal by Ewells. That's a very simple drop from Owen Farrell. Not like him. Doesn't matter how wet the ball is.
Well, his eyes just came up at the wrong time, didn't they? Looking ahead of him.
Yeah, I think he was probably looking for the kick space.
Same respect from their ball.
Irrespective of why it was, the result is the same. They are going to be under pressure again. First French put-in, actually. If they want to try and make a statement, the England forwards could make it here.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
It would be one of the few things they've got right.
Keep it up. God, stay nice, stay nice.
France under pressure at the scrummage, but Aldrit does well to come away with it.
Lost now, lost now. No.
France without a scrum half for the moment. Oh, he's back. Dupont is there. Oh, he leaves it.
Good timing on the 9, that's fine.
Ntamak went deep. And that's a shallow kick from a deep position. Johnny May against Rates. May comes away with a good catch by the Leicester winger. Joe Marler carries Julien Marchand forward on his back for a few metres. Ben Youngs, England still going high. Boutier can't take it. Slapped back by
Touched it, play on.
By Boutier, which led to nothing. England back in possession. Very scrappy out there. Oh, it's happened again, but France offside, so it's a let-off for Owen Farrell.
Of anything, what tells me at the moment the balance of power are quite apart from on the scoreline is France are sharper to everything. Everything that goes on the floor, everything that bounces around, they are onto it. England, by contrast, are tardy.
Wow, a quick word from you down at touchline, Sonia.
Yeah, Manu Tuolangi cut a very disconsolate figure when he came off. His language was a little colourful. Not sure what he's done. He's up on the England bench. He waved away any ice, but I just wonder if he was carrying an injury potentially into this game. Hence England naming 2 centres on the bench.
Joe Marler against Momo Awas. Julien Marchand in a certain amount of discomfort there, but it'll be a line out next. It hasn't gone well for either side, the attacking line out. England safely through Courtney Laws to begin with. Jamie George comes more in field with this drive. Ben Youngs right on the ball. Kyle Sinclair takes over at the tail. France's counter is good. England have to play it elsewhere. Elliot Daly, good run by the winger. Chances now for England. Just 3 metres short. George Ford to Johnny May, the flyer. Rates against him. Rates makes the tackle. Antoine Dupont back there. England's best attacking threat of this first half, and France win the penalty. And Gaël Ficou, the centre, runs in to offer his congratulations.
Well, you can see great work there, getting into a solid position, presenting the picture for the referee. And I didn't have time to say it, but I was going to say before the last thing that this was England's last chance probably to get back into this game, and if they didn't get some form of score here, then they were unlikely to do that. I do believe that has been thrown away. The problem is if you send men, extra men, into a line-out, and then have to play the ball. When it goes wide, you have fewer men.
Just tell me you want a bit early, maybe, so wait till my call, okay?
And that's exactly what happened there. Could not get the supporters in on the ball. Good turnover by France.
It's another line out that's gone a little bit scrappy.
Wait. Time out. France, come here, please. Come here. France, come here, please. Time out. On the line out, when you come in late, you must keep the gap as well, and you must keep the gap. The gap will close, the both are at fault. Big gap and keep it, please. Both sides. Okay? Yes, both sides. Gap.
Disappointing to see from France. Karim Gazelle, as I said, is an excellent line-out coach for them. He's been quite sloppy in this part of the game.
Both sides, gap.
They had the lecture on the gap, and
number 3.
they've ignored it. Kyle Sinclair.
Well, look how dull is that? He just said, get a gap.
I've given you a second chance as well. Yes, gap, please.
It's a dream result for France now. They don't have to win the line-out. They don't have that pressure line-out for their hooker. And then Tamac will just clear the ball from hand. It's just too easy. England are giving it to him too easy.
I'll let you fume again in a minute, Brian. For the moment, from the free kick, France have gone high. Ficou put the pressure on. Knock on by England.
First off here, I think.
Have you seen this, Paul? This is Brian in one.
Second knock on. Yeah, but because you're closing the gap and everybody's following
you know, from an England point of view, you're looking at this and you're wondering what he's going. This is a problem. You can't see coherence in what they're trying to do at the moment. You take a line out in there, drive extra men from the backs into it, and then have to release the ball to fewer men behind. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, France, on the other hand, are doing things quite well. I mean, excellent length on the kick there from Ntamak. Great chase by Gaël Ficou, puts a bit of pressure on, forces the error. A great field position now for France.
Scrum on the 10-metre line in England's half. Better scrum for France this time. Front row stayed down. Dupont hits the blind side. Chips ahead for Rates, the chase. And the kick beats them all.
Very smart play by Dupont. They're 17 points ahead. Really bad conditions. And he's able to find the corner with a kick. You know, this is where they want to play the game. They don't care if England have the ball 5 metres from their line with a 17-point lead. Super intelligent play from the Toulouse scrum half.
Well, as I said earlier in the game, he is a fulcrum point, and he's been one of France's best players now for quite some time.
Jamie George throws. Courtney Laws catches.
Go back.
Nigel Owens sends back Bernard Leroux. Go back. You have to be 10 metres. England complete the clearance. Vincent Rates goes back to his wing position.
No effect at all.
Great basics from England. You know, 5 metres from their line. They're now 40 metres from their line. Excellent exit.
The problem England have now is Billy Vunipola not there, so you don't have the initial ball carrying. Curry's having to make do. Tuolangi's gone off as well, so that form of ball carrying is gone. Where is the penetration going to come from?
It's gone wrong for France in midfield. The pass behind Vakatawa. England with the turnover. Sam Underhill does a bit of heavyweight barging, battering again. Owen Farrell in a spot of bother, but England through George Ford get downfield, but Romain Ntamak has covered really well for France. The outside half. Anthony Boutier has been equally effective.
Before the game, we looked at this fixture from last season where France did not cover the backfield well at all. And they're doing a very, very good job today. England not able to find any kick space when they have kicked, when they have managed to hold on to the ball. Boutier having a really, really good debut.
Attention being given to Owen Farrell, who's okay. Charles Olivon, number 5. Paul Willemse, the South African in France's second row. George throws. Courtney Laws again. Ben Youngs, and again England go into the rain-spattered sky. Rates went up for it.
Nothing there, we play.
The ball escaped everybody. Johnny May and Vincent Rates have a sort of little cameo down on the touchline.
Yeah, and England are going to have to do that. I know they're 17 points down, but they can't play as much in their own half as they'd like to. There's still 45 minutes left in this game.
Cross wins the line out. The ball was out, but Maro Itoje was offside.
Wait, please, time out. You clearly knocked the ball back, not the problem, but then you picked it up offside, so the penalty's against you, okay? The knockback was fine, but you was offside picking it up. Knocked it back, not the problem, and onside. But then you're offside picking it up.
The ball must have been still in the ruck when he picked it up. Just those are the penalties they can't afford to be giving away now.
Come on, Brad, come on, come on. We need you back.
If you're doing that, make sure you're onside, and if you knock it forward, it'll be a penalty and could be more.
Probably don't teach that at Harrow.
Cross again. This is a more energetic surge by the French forwards. Cross standing off. Villemse standing off. Drops the ball. France hand the
I don't think so, no.
put in at the scrummage to England.
Well, how would you sum this half up? On behalf of the French, more cogency, more urgency, more dynamism, more points.
Yeah, I think England have made a few errors.
They're left in the mark.
They've dropped a few balls that, you know, they normally wouldn't drop. And I think France have had a little bit of luck. That second try, there was a lot of luck in that. And sometimes that's the way it goes. It's a long way back now for England for me.
Last 30 seconds of the first half. Ben Youngs to feed the scrum. The England scrummage has been good, but then suddenly, oh, they have an advantage, England. France went for the counter shove. It didn't come off. Penalty to England. There is time to kick for touch and take the line out.
Hey, no, excuse me, off you go. Hey, get out. Off you go, please. Right. No, I'm not. No, but come back over here. Yeah.
I'm getting ready for the next one, sorry.
Right, okay. Huh?
I think we're back to the penalty. Everybody
on, down.
More or less happy.
A way to get into these kind of games is to get penalties, and in fairness to France, they're not giving away a lot of penalties. I think that might be the third penalty they've given away, and it's one of the main ways when the conditions are bad like this.
You stay there till the scrum is over or swap before the ball.
Number 3 there, Awas, I think, gone very much in the scrum.
Turned his way, turned Marler in. Looks like Marler is the one at fault, but nothing he can do. The number 1 when he's turned in that way.
Jar Yules takes his place in the line-out. Maro Itoje wins it. Curry plays scrum half. Johnny May off his wing. Good tackle on him, but Jamie George drives on, tackled by Olivon. Sinclair to ground.
Lost down 2.
Deep into overtime at the end of the first half. Courtney Laws. Youngs to Itoje. Aldrit. Cross number 6 back to his feet. Sinclair.
Away, no.
Courtney Laws sets it up again. George Ford hit by Leroux and Villemse. 2 second rows on one outside half. Laws does well. Ben Youngs, Jules, Sam Underhill, thrown back towards the 22. It's still there though. Forward, change of direction by the outside half. Nearly past Cross. Owen Farrell hands on to a Saracens teammate, Jamie George. Joe Marler. George forward again. Jules out there. It's gone loose. Claimed by France. The cheer says everything. The end of the first half approaches. Out goes the ball. Up goes the cheer in France. We're only halfway there, but it has been a very impressive first half for the team in blue. France leading England at the interval by a full 17 points to 0.
Well, that French defence at the end, symptomatic of a great first half for the French, and England rattled by Rattez earlier on, then Oliphant with the second try, 17-0, and a couple of other statistics to throw at you as we look at the facts and figures. This is France's biggest half-time lead against England since 2004, when France went on to win the game. If you're, from an English perspective, want something a bit more encouraging, it's actually the first time that England have failed to score in the first half of a Six Nations match or a Five Nations match since 1988. So for the first time in 32 years, but they did win that match 35-3. But it almost needs a comeback of similar proportions for England to win this one. Thomas, you know what you're talking about. You know your onions.
Well, I think we prepared that game really well, but rugby is simple. You know, if you're strong on set pieces, if you don't commit too many players on the rucks, if you tackle hard and you do some offensive tackles, then you can become a dangerous team. And everything we have done in this first half was really, we made an impact every time. You know, the players were awesome. You know, the quality in the passing, the quality in the intensity was there. So we can compete against the best team in the world when you do that kind of things.
Simple, easy, straightforward, low error count, low penalty count, and Sean Edwards has done work miracles, which I didn't think he'd be able to in such short time. The defence of the French has been absolutely ferocious, knocking England back. They're not able to get a foothold in the game, and England are visibly rattled.
It's sort of everything you don't want to do in Paris in the first half. England started, they tried to put the French fullback under pressure, didn't really do it very well. Then we had an opportunity, we turned the ball over, France go down and score. Then we've just gone to make more mistakes. Line-outs creaked, scrummages creaked. Tom Curry under pressure at number 8 because the scrum's struggling, dropping passes, turning balls over, doing strange things, and all those French players walk off the field 30-40% bigger, better players than when they started. The crowd's going crazy. Very tough now to turn it round.
If you were the England captain now, what would be the first thing you'd say in the dressing room when you got there?
Have a minute. Have a breather. I think half-time is the best thing that could happen to the team right now. Everything, you know, if you actually look at discipline, both teams have given away 3 penalties, handling errors, England 7, 5 for France. So it's just magnified by the fact that France have actually capitalised on England's errors. So I think just the momentum shifts in that game. England just need to slow it down, calm down. Half-time is the time to do that, regather themselves, and ultimately I think they need to come out and obviously score next, because if France score next, I think the game will be too far gone.
It's a reset, isn't it? It's a half-time, just, okay, like you say, everyone shut up for 2 minutes, completely reset, and we'll go out and try and establish ourselves in the game.
I think where they need to start is your foundations, like English rugby, French rugby, any rugby is built upon set piece. So the line-out deliveries aren't functioning, a little bit of fumble at the scrum. You know, drop passes, they happen, but set piece, when you got time to collect yourselves as a team and deliver good quality ball, and England aren't doing it at the moment, I think that's somewhere that they'll revisit.
Psychologically, when you play in France, the scrummage is massively important. So when you get disrupted at the scrum, it's like an extra 50% for them, because they love the scrum and what that means. So you have to get exactly right. You have to get all those things nailed down, the line-out turnovers. We've all been there. I'm getting deja vu watching this game. The last 2 times I played in Paris, we conceded 2 tries in the first half, and we were making mistakes, and we're under that pressure. You cannot make the errors. You've got to put the pressure back on them.
You said what you do. Is Eddie, in a situation like this, is Eddie Jones a ranter and a raver, or is he a calm, let's take a moment to have a think?
I don't think ranting and raving will help the situation. There's no lack of effort out there. What I'm seeing is, we talked about Sean Edwards' defence. We're seeing England put under, taking away time and space. They've been put under pressure. And with a blitz defence or a rush defence, whatever you want to call it, you can't play around it. You've got to go through it with big ball carries. But at the moment, England's biggest ball carriers, Manu, he's gone off the field. I mean, he got double tackled. Kyle Sinclair, he's missed the gain line. He is not making gain line at the moment. So England need to find a way to unlock this blitz defence that's coming at them.
Let's go through the half then. The first try almost came out of the blue, really.
Beautifully set up. Dupont there is attracting the defence. Like, it's Underhill who misses the tackle, which is unbelievable. Itoje goes out, creates a dog leg, and Teddy Thomas is through. And from here on in, it's panic mode. England are scrambling. Okay, the ball's a bit loose, but England are a little bit like bees round a honey pot. They're really zoning in rather than spreading out and taking their men man by man and coming up and hitting hard. Another inside pass, and Rattez is through. Man on man.
Dupont's been key
it.
for them in this first half with the ball.
Yeah.
Dupont's sniping from scrum half has led to a lot of uncertainty in England's defence.
Every time he has the ball, Dupont is a massive threat. So I think Underhill was by himself to tackle like two guys, Dupont and Thomas. So it was very hard for him to defend both.
Okay, the second try, I mean, there's so much debate about VAR in football. This is when the TMO, does it work or doesn't it work? What do we think? Do they get it right?
In far as it being clear and obvious, it wasn't. And so if you go with the try as the refereeing team decided, I mean, we zoomed in, we've gone left, we've gone right, we've magnified, and we can't see the touch of, I think it was the Englishman going up.
But even with that, Johnny May shouldn't react like he did,
Well, we've got this now, Thomas, look. Johnny just stops. I mean, it's criminal, really, in the game. You have to play to the whistle. Courtney Laws is looking back. They're waiting for the whistle to go, but you carry on playing until it does blow.
He should have hit the guy even if the whistle had gone.
but I think if you look at Nigel Owens, he was going to whistle, and then he put the whistle down. So I think that didn't help the player.
There's so many dads sat in the lounge now with their kids going, see, I told you to play to the whistle, play to the whistle. It's a great example of it. But I mean, if we actually look at it, I mean, we're all on the same page here. I think that's touch a French player, if I'm honest.
But you're away from home, everything's going against you, and you knew that call was going to go that way. It's just one of those days right now. And England, if they can turn this round, be one of the, will actually be a massive feather in their cap, because this is hard. This crowd are now into this game.
Well, last year, Wales was France was 16-0 ahead, and they let it go.
Yeah. Let's go back to the fundamentals then. You mentioned line-out and scrummage, where everything comes from. And for England, there have been fundamental flaws here.
Yeah, it's just systematic of where they are. And those things, the French love them. The crowd, they're running through, they've made 10 metres. And the scrum, Curry at number 8, the difficult thing is controlling that ball there if you're under pressure. The scrum shifts sideways, it squirts out, and France are onto it. So it's just symptomatic of what's happening in England's game today.
I mean, you've got to give credit to France. I mean, the reason these errors are happening is off the back of France dictating the outcomes, basically. So England basically need to have this half-time, revisit how they're going to get into the game, and that all starts at set piece. So I can imagine the change room to be quite a calm place at the moment.
Maybe on the surface.
And if you have to give credit to the French team, it's not only about the players, it's the staff. We have much more coaches, in the staff, and we have specialists in every kind of position. And there was a lack of professionalism, before. So now I think we got people who can really deliver on every set piece, and I think you can see that on the pitch.
Well, the last minute and a half of the half there, where England had an opportunity, if we were talking about 17-7, it's a totally different game. But the French defence was resolute and drove England back in that last phase after phase, which you might not have seen in days gone by.
Yeah, once again, we've seen the French team going forward on every tackle, putting some pressure, to 9-10s, so the attacking side, of England are struggling all the time they get the ball, and you can see that every time England has the ball, you can see 2 or 3 French guys, running hard, and trying to smash them in defense.
It will just give them confidence as well, because they've done what their coaches has asked them to do, and they've got the results. They're 17-0 up, which they probably never believed they could do.
Okay, other errors in the England game, or at least things that have gone wrong.
Yeah, this for me is reminding me a little bit about the World Cup final. England are attacking the zone where you cannot make the errors. You have to execute accurately. And in that World Cup, there was in the first half, 29th minute to the 33rd minute, they had South Africa. They should have scored. They only got away with a penalty. And these moments when they're attacking, you have to make the most of. And the errors are energy sapping. Your body language tells your teammates that you're not quite happy with what they've just produced, and they somehow got to knock this out. I mean, Owen Farrell just dropping the ball, it's almost
unheard of that for Owen to make those sort of very basic errors, but they're killing the team.
I think they're missing a lack of power too. They don't have Unipola, Tuilagi is not there anymore. I think they're struggling with the power, and that helps the French.
And George Furbank has had a very difficult first 40 minutes in international rugby, I think it's fair to say, but we sometimes overlook the human element. 23 years old, hasn't been playing top-level rugby for a very long time, and he's suddenly thrust into this environment. But if you counter that with how Boutier is playing at fullback for France, who was playing second division rugby last season, he has just arrived on this stage and has said, I am going to command this.
But you know what made the difference? Boutier first high ball, he took it, and he took it in a different position, and that gave him confidence. So every time he has the ball now, he's dangerous, and you can see that Furbank was exactly the opposite. So it's very hard for him, and the team is struggling. So no one is really helping him, whereas Boutier is helped by many players.
It's huge for me and how this England team reacts. Against Wales last year, they had the opportunity to win. Against Scotland, they let Scotland come back into the game. In the World Cup final, they had moments and they didn't capitalise on it now. How mature, how strong mentally is this England side?
And equally, we talk about the French mentality and the consistency of it. Now that the wind has taken out the sails of the half-time, can they come out and recreate that atmosphere that they had? So it's going to be an interesting second half.
You're right, half-time for the French now, because they'll be sitting there thinking, wow, but they have to come out, and it can be difficult. They need to manage the second half and try and get the momentum back into it.
They can't sit back and keep defending, can they? They need to keep playing the way they are. They need to keep attacking. They just need to keep going at it, because if they shut up shop and just defend all game, England will just chip away, and they'll get back into the game.
Well, 17-0 at half-time, and I dare say that the England players on the bench, well, at least who haven't come on already, because Jonathan Joseph is on, could have a considerable part to play in the next 40 minutes or so. So who in that group of players can be a game changer, Dylan?
I'm looking at gain line, I'm looking at ball carriers. At the moment, Courtney Laws is circled here on my sheet. He's doing a lot of the ball carrying by himself. So I think if we can add some ball carrying grunt to that forward pack to kind of counter that line speed, chip into that defence, that is what I think I'd be doing. But I'm not the coach, so...
You lose Mano, you've got to bring in on some heft, and Devoto, 6'2", 6'3", about 16 stone. At least he can straighten up and get that French defence just looking there and allowing this English space on the flanks. I would bring him on straight away.
There's the man of the match so far, Sean Edwards, giving a few words of advice to some of his French players. Jono, what are your thoughts?
I think England just got to cut their errors out in that first 10 minutes, turn the pressure back on the French, and see what happens after that. And if we're not getting anywhere, then I think Eddie will quickly go to the bench.
Are you still confident about a 10-point victory?
Maybe more, but you said to me at the start of the game, can we afford to lose that game? Yeah, we could at the start of the game, but now winning by 17 points, we cannot afford to lose.
That's a really good point as well. Well, we did say, or Jerry mentioned during half-time, that France were beating Wales by 16 points to nil at half-time in the opening match of the Six Nations last year here in Paris, and Wales went on to win a Grand Slam. Funny game, rugby. Let's go back to Eddie, Brian and Paul.
No changes on the French team at half-time. No changes on the England side, bar that replacement. Jonathan Joseph on for the injured Manu Tuilagi. Bernard Leroux, Owen Farrell. Contrasting fortunes in the first half. Nigel Owens starts the second half. The rain still falls. A light drizzle, no wind, but the conditions are tricky.
It's interesting to look at the possession stats. It's 60% possession for England, 40 for France. It's one of those days when you're actually better off without the ball, forcing errors and then playing off the opposition's errors.
Marchand throws, Olivon delivers. Dupont, Untamac. It's coming the way of Teddy Thomas, but it's gone towards George Furbank. Safe catch for the England fullback.
Well, given a gift there far too long. He's made the exit. When you're talking about ball carriers, and they were at half-time circling Courtney Lawes, you're looking at the selections. There isn't an Alex Dombrandt or someone like that who has traditionally been carrying well. Jones decided to go a different way. May well regret that.
Courtney Lawes steals a line-out ball. It's gone a little bit wild. Owen Farrell has time to readjust. Leroux follows up with the tackle. Itoje.
Release.
Ben Youngs told to use it, has 5 seconds from that moment. George Ford. Boutier shepherds it, but that's an excellent kick by George Ford.
Well, if you wanted to start with England, you couldn't get much better than this, to have this pressure now on a French row right on their line. Just confused me, Cal Sinclair there, coming around the corner, an opportunity to run into the fly half, run over a fly half. Anyway, England needs to compete here.
Nigel Owens just holds things up. Important throw for France. Olivon can't get it. Itoje, can he touch down for England? He cannot quite. But it's an excellent opportunity for England at the start of the second half. This to start an almighty comeback. Sinclair waits. England still a metre short. Jamie George has a go. It's there for Courtney Lawes.
They go right, there are two backs covering in the guard and bodyguard.
Still 1 metre to go for England. Sinclair over the ball again. Aldrit tries to make life difficult. Itoje again, who started it all off from the wayward French line-out.
And if they come left, there are 4 men over to 2 with the French. It's still there if they see it. No, it's being filled now.
A massive overlap awaits. Aldrit over the ball.
No, that chance is gone
away.
now.
Courtney Lawes again. The ball's gone a little ragged in there, but it's still on the England side.
Stay back.
Joe Marler over it.
Advantage offside, 7.
Well, now there's a advantage clear. There's a huge gap on the right.
Olivon offside. Penalty advantage England. They can afford to vary things.
No, it's still in the hands.
One of those situations, perhaps, Paul, where France happy to give away the 3.
Yeah, much better from England. Line-out steal here in the halfway line, which led to the possession. Super kick by George Ford, and then France are under pressure to exit, similar to what England were early on in the first half. Marchand, the 24-year-old hooker, just a slight overthrow. Itoje picked it up, and it's very hard not to give away a penalty now from that position, because when you're a metre from the line, they have to get back behind the line all the time. No English player up in the air beside Olivon there, and it's a great pick-up in fairness to Itoje.
Well, England have now got prime attacking opportunity right in the middle of the field. Both sides are open from the scrum. Whichever way they decide to do this, whether they decide to push the right-hand side of the scrum up, take the French back row away and have a bigger run-in, which is the easiest thing to do, they simply have to get over the line on this set of plays. Absolutely have to.
The decision by England to go for the scrummage, not the easy 3 points. Marler, George, Sinclair against Bay, Marchand,
Good space, please.
Awas.
Both sides. Okay. Let's go, please.
It's a good decision, I think. They need 3 scores. They have the field position here to go for the try. They can kick a penalty from 30 metres out, 40 metres out. At 5 metres from the line, it's a good time to take the scrum. Midfield scrum, very hard to defend 5 metres from your line.
England with more players to the right-hand side of this scrimmage. 5 metres to go. It's gone down.
It's a penalty. It's a penalty.
Forward to Joseph, who's dropped it. Penalty offside. England will have a second chance.
Yeah, the French back line. You call that. You call the penalty. A good job for England, because again, it's about to be the second or third chance that have gone begging by an unforced error. It goes scrum again, presumably here.
Jonathan Joseph is down injured. It's going to be another 5 metre scrimmage.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
In fairness to Nigel Owens, he's dead right. The French backline was at least 2 metres offside. 5 metre scrum, he has a try line to notify him what exactly 5 metres is. You could hear him telling them to get back.
All the three of you in the back line were not 5 metres from the scrum. You must stay. Okay.
It's going to be the story of the day, really, for England. They've been 4 or 5 metres from the line several times. They've put the ball down.
Don't know if you saw the picture there, Vincent Moscato.
Vincent Moscato, French
he's on record as saying Brian Moore ruined my life.
England here have 7 visits to the French 22, and they're still at nil.
The boat went down, the ball came away. Are we scrummaging again?
Eddie Jones looks on. Kyle Sinclair prepares himself for the scrimmage of England's game so far. This has to go well for them.
It's not just that, it's not just winning the ball. I think they need to set the picture in mind that they are on top, because they have been slightly on top. If you can get that here in this sort of zone, then you're looking at yellow cards and other things.
Youngs has to go digging for it a little bit. Owen Farrell couldn't really time his run, but it's still there for Youngs. Curry on the charge. Jamie George with the next to pick up. Ships it on. Charlie Ewells on his shoulder. Ewells has to move now to allow Ben Youngs to see the ball. Sam Underhill there too. Sinclair attached to him. Well, we're back where we were a few moments ago. England throwing themselves at the French line, and it's gone wrong. There's a knock-on advantage for France.
Ficou run into his own player, but it won't matter.
It's still an advantage to France. Dupont waits. Ntamak a long way behind him. They're quite happy through Gregory Aldrit to drive a little further from their goal line.
Stay behind.
Dupont, 5 seconds, and they're ticking. Has to hurry up. Advantage over. England's best opportunity goes begging.
And Luke Cowan-Dickie is going to replace Jamie George, but knocked down by a French player. Good work there, knocking the ball from Maro Itoje's hands. What else can you say but hapless? I'm afraid.
Luke Cowan-Dickie on at hooker. Just thinking, the world of the hooker. Brian Moore against Vincent Moscato. Paul, those were they were crazy days, Brian. They were wonderful days. More changes in the front row for France. Dembe Bamba comes on. He may not be the best scrummager in the world, but if it loosens up, he'll be prominent. Sam Underhill charges England very much on the attack in this second half. Cowan-Dickie, a first drive for him. Also on for France, Jefferson Poirot, who immediately wins a penalty for his team.
In fairness to Poirot, he's a very good poacher of the ball for a loose head prop, and you can see there, again, no bad pictures for the referee, no knee on the ground, no hand on the ground. Very clear for Nigel Owens.
But the thing is, from an England point of view, there was no clearer on him at all either. It wasn't that someone came in early, missed him, they just missed him completely.
Yeah. He's a good player, this guy, Demba Bamba. I've seen him playing under 18s, under 20s. He's actually never been fit enough to fulfill his potential. But he has serious potential, very strong ball carrier.
France, 121 tackles to England's 77. Most of them at the start of this second half. It has been all England, and they've gained it again. Courtney Laws comes away with it. Demba Bamba with a big tackle. Owen Farrell.
Stay free! Stop! Okay.
Untamak has defended really well. Here goes Boutier. Courtney Laws special brings him down.
Okay, Hughes.
Poirot. France have enjoyed no possession in this second half.
Yes, please.
Dupont keeps it on the field. Furbank waits. Catches. Tackled.
Good contest, everybody on their feet. Perfect.
Vakatawa with that tackle. Farrell a little lower this time. Drilled back down the field by Boutier. Boutier quite happy to chase after the ball, leaving Romain Untamak at fullback, where he's spent a lot of the game.
Well, they're very simple tactical decisions now, aren't they, from the back for the French? They just put the ball long, say to England, OK, you go 80 metres. We've been able to stop you before. We're 17 points up. You do something now.
Yeah, it's their job to create. Give them back the ball, let them create. They have to create the scores.
Another change in the England front row. Ellis Genge on for Joe Marler. Olivon down, Dupont waits for the bounce, Untamak under pressure. First, Nigel Owen seems happy enough with the tackle by Ellis Genge on Untamak. Untamak is still down on the field, which means France are down a player as Luke Cowan-Dickie begins the charge. George Ford's towards where Untamak is. Vincent Hattez goes back, and it's out of play.
You can hear Nigel Owens telling the TMO to check it. He's checked it, he's told him it's okay.
I have spoken to my TMO, and he thinks the tackle is legal, and he was already committed. Okay, so no foul play.
Well, we should run this in real time, because that's what... Well, it's not a legal tackle, whether or not he's committed.
Yeah, no,
I think he's committed.
I think he's committed, but he's very, very close. He's obviously hungry. Genji's just come off the bench.
I say he's committed, all right.
So the difference for me would be this: he's at least tried to tackle him properly. You see a lot of the shots that go in there, you know, simple shoulder shots. But anyway, look, the TMO and one of the best referees in the world have looked at it.
And having said that, after that, it's a great kick from George Ford. I know England need to create something, but they're far better off down here trying to pressure France. France's line-out hasn't been perfect. They've lost 4 line-outs.
Can you just bring your flow a
Paul, you also look at it this way: a converted try and a drop goal, that's within 7 points. I mean, it seems a lot at the moment because England haven't been anywhere near that, yet there is time.
Stay. Okay, time on.
Julien Marchand being told by Nigel Owens to organise things properly for France at an area where they've struggled a little bit. Here is Marchand trying to get away from Maro Itoje. Who wants it? Well taken, Johnny May. But then May stripped of the ball. Excellent work at the breakdown by France, who now win themselves a penalty. Teddy Thomas wants the ball. Oh, how he wants the ball.
Teddy Thomas should be left nowhere near the ball. 17-0 up, it's lashing rain. I don't know if that was an illegal turnover by Poirot again. In fairness, he's very good over the ball. I think he got it on the second grab. Once he didn't get it on the first grab, it was a ruck.
Well, here we go.
It's a great take by Johnny May.
England number 6, set, please. 6.
It's just after this. Here we go. So he doesn't get it here. Oh, maybe he does.
I don't know. I think he does. I think he keeps forward.
Yeah, it's a good poach. Super play. Very good athleticism for a loose head prop.
Lewis Ludlam has come on for Courtney Laws. Oh, a shiner before we're underway. A pre-shiner.
It's a great impact from Poirot to get 2 penalties. Penalties on a day like today are so important.
The rain has stopped. Olivon again. Willemsel. France going backwards a little bit, but Dupont, brilliant work by the scrum half. Olivon for the line, he'll slide his way in. A second try for the French captain. Oh.
Well, it's all kicked off in the corner, but let's go back to the real brilliance, which was again from that man, Antoine Dupont.
Just
superb.
The sort out, still going on in that corner a little bit. Nigel Owens is in the middle of it. Olivon started it with the line-out win.
It's a great line break by Dupont, but Olivon is chasing upfield and inside, looking for a half break or half chance in these conditions. That's a great tackle on a dry day. Unfortunately, on a wet day like this, you slide over. Great try, similar to his try against Wales in the World Cup, supporting upfield.
I'm just wondering what causes the trouble after that. I think it's somebody coming in on Olivon after he'd scored.
Well, no one's done it there. I don't know. Unfortunately, we do. Can I just stress we do not have control of these pictures are from French TV, so we can't direct what we can see.
You both as captains and you both as teams have been excellent all game. But I don't want to see stuff like that in the game. It's not acceptable, it doesn't look good, it's not needed. So I want you to go and speak to your both teams, because if something like that happens again, somebody may be in a lot of trouble. There was nothing in that, just everybody going in, there's no need to. The try stands, and that is the end of the matter. So speak to your teams, and then I'll put the time on. Is that fair enough? Yes, thank you. Go and speak to your team, please, and you do the same, please, Owen.
Gaël Ficou talking to the French team there. I think Sean Edwards made him captain of the defence. Probably the most experienced guy in the team, I think, with 51 caps and 26 years of age. But this comes off Jefferson Poirot's penalty. Great poach by the loose head prop, and that's the kind of impact you want from your bench. Great poach, good kick to the corner. They won their line out, albeit scrappy, and a little bit of magic then from Dupont.
Romain Ntamak, 3 from 3 so far. France have been under the cosh all second half, but absolute brilliance from Antoine Dupont. Second try for Charles Olivon. The lead, 22 points. Could it be 24 points? It could.
Well, we'll wonder if we see what happened after this. You can't see anyone coming in here. That's not illegal. Nothing in that.
Oh, yeah.
It's the arrival of Luke Cowan-Dickey after the try that leads to all this.
Yeah, I was looking at the Curry one. Curry inside him.
Back live. Antoine Dupont. George Cruz tried to charge the kick down. He is on for England. Charlie Ewells has gone off.
In fairness to France, they've always had players capable of magic like that, like Teddy Thomas in the first half.
And another change for France, a double change for them. Boris Palou comes on, and also on Cameron Woki. We've got a Cameron, we've got a Boris, we've got a May, we've got a litany of prime ministers out there. Actually, we've got a George as well. We had a George, just thinking Lloyd.
We've got a Wookiee as well.
Ben Youngs waits, May outside him. May chases his own kick. Johnny May. Oh, that is one-man brilliance by Johnny May.
It is superb from May, from virtually nothing. Simple, blindside break by...
decision try.
I thought he looked incredibly fast there. I've just realised it was Jefferson Porro.
We just need to check to be sure here. We have an on-field decision try, please.
Jefferson Porro, he was chasing down.
I'm going to show you the grounding now.
Yeah, we have a grounding.
Just a grounding at issue.
Nigel, we have a better angle than this. Just wait for the next angle.
Try.
Clear grounding, Nigel.
Yeah, perfect. All good.
Great piece of play, great try. Similar to Dupont, just an individual piece of magic.
Thank you, Brendan.
And to be fair to the winger, it was probably the only way at the moment that England have looked like scoring, because through conventional ways, France have been very disciplined, very tight.
Owen Farrell, amazingly, this is his first kick at goal. The rain falls in Paris. Owen Farrell. There's still time, there's still a full quarter and a bit to go. The conversion is good. England up to 7 points.
You're right there, Eddie, but when England were pressing at the start of the second half, when they were 17-0 down, 17-7 with 35 minutes to go, is a lot better. They have registered something. Who knows if they register another one, but from a French point of view, simply need to reset, keep their discipline, because they've been by far the better team.
England still have to score 3 times. Tom Curry with the catch. A little bit of scragging at the breakdown. Boutier. Sinclair with a thumping tackle. Dembe Bamba drives on. Leroux. Etoje fast up in the line. It's there for Dupont. Another kick down towards Elliot Daly.
Stay.
The kick and the bounce. are not precise enough, and France will go all the way back to the points where Elliot Daly put his boot to the ball and have a scrimmage.
Very clever by Boutier. I'd say he was tempted to catch it, but in the conditions, it was always going to skid off the ground and go out on the full. And France in no rush now to get back for the scrum. The point I was making earlier, I mean, France have had fantastic players over the last 10 years. They've always been capable of big moments. They just haven't been hard to beat. They give away penalties. They don't kick well. They don't kick in these kind of conditions. They defend individually. But there's definitely hints of a change here today, Brian.
Well, there's always been a suspicion, hasn't there? They didn't really like to do the hard work. The nasty stuff, the unseen work, the dogged stuff, for which you get no credit. You know, people don't see it publicly, like running around. And if they've turned that corner, that is a huge thing for them, because you can see from their recent success in the last 3 or 4 under-20 World Cup tournaments that they have some of the best young players coming through in the world. And they can harness that with that sort of attitude, it will go an awful long way.
Keep the space. We keep the good standard, please. If I say yes, you go.
Off we go again, France with an attacking scrummage. Palou has gone in the second row with Leroux. Woki has gone on to the open side position in the back row.
Okay, time out.
Palou just 23, Woki 21.
He can't get his arm up, okay? So let him get his
There's
arm
the
up.
stated aim in France, as you were saying, Brian, you know, producing these young players, but with an eye on the World Cup they will host in 2023. Lewis Ludlam. It is a shiner.
Set! Hold it there, keep it up! Pressure up!
Olivon lends his weight, but that's a scattered scrummage. Dupont does ever so well. Woki comes away with it, but what work by Dupont under extreme pressure. Mistake this time by France. Dembe Bamba. Jans. To nobody.
It's just not going England's way.
It isn't.
Really good scrum there. It looked like, for all intents and purposes, they were going to get a penalty, and somehow France managed to get out of the back of the scrum, and they end up on the attack.
The thing is, Paul, it shot out the back. If it had stayed in, they'd have been okay, but it shot out the back there. Had it stayed in, it would probably been giving a penalty to England. And then, of course, he caught really well on super offload.
Cameron Woki carrying the ball there, World Under-20 winner only 2 years ago. Plays with Bordeaux, fantastic line-out jumper. Another one of the young breed coming through for France.
Willie Hines is on at scrum half for England.
Ask me the question and I'll gladly answer you. The ball is still in, and it's a reward, okay?
All this is great for France.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, the minutes.
Apologies, the clock is stopped. The last time they were resetting the scrums, the clock wasn't stopped, and France have no problem with it.
We have a very good last scrum. Same with this one, please. Shoulders out. Time on. Crouch. Bind. Set. Hold it there.
Willie Hines feeds the scrum. England suddenly very dominant at that set-piece situation. They're bound to get a penalty. Yeah, Hines picks up, but the whistle gone, and more afters.
I'd imagine Nigel Owens is going to penalise someone this time.
I got to identify who it was, though.
Olivon has been summoned. Nigel Owens has just lectured them on being
well,
polite.
I think we need to have a word. Okay, we need to have a word. But this needs to stop. Okay, have a word, please. Same with your players.
You gave them that speech already.
Yeah, unusual for Nigel Owens to give 2 lectures. I suggest it's because he couldn't identify who it was, and therefore, if it happens again, the solution is for everyone to get in, and then you can't identify anybody.
This English front row, this new English front row, looks very, very good.
And that's a good
after
kick.
Producing a penalty for them here. It might be a little bit too late, but in conditions like this, similar to Poirot's poaches early on, those scrum penalties, they're worth their weight in gold. They're gone from their own 22-metre line here to well inside the French 22.
Well, that's William Salvat, brilliant French hooker. He's in charge of the scrummaging. You won't be very impressed at the moment.
No, that's two very
18
disturbing
minutes left.
scrums for France.
Well, as England found out in the World Cup final, if you get on the wrong side of the referee, anything can happen with the scrums. You can be very destructive.
Ludlam catches, France drive. England trying to spin their way back into control. Hines has to play it. Jonathan Joseph caught in midfield. France over the ball, presented well though. Curry delivers. Hines again. George Cruz up to France's 22. Elliot Daly joins in, so he's out of the equation as a left winger. Tom Curry thrown back in the tackle. Forward to Joseph. France is tackling strong. It'll please their new coach, Sean Edwards.
Gone to the side, he hasn't affected.
Curry again. A little bit more ground made by Curry. Long to Daly. Quick hands to Johnny May, the try scorer. May. Oh, he's going to do it again. Another fantastic solo effort by Johnny May.
Wow, who knows? Going to reduce the deficit now to 10 points with a dominant scrum. Going to be an interesting last 15 minutes is this. Tremendous work from that man.
What a try, my God, how fast is he? It didn't look like there was a lot on.
There wasn't.
And he's got around 4 players there. That is incredible speed by Johnny May. Brilliant try, and it looked like they were going backwards. I was watching the defence. France weren't putting one man in any of those rucks. They had 15 men on their feet time after time after time. They were driving them back. And then you get a moment of magic. It's just sheer speed. I mean,
Teddy Thomas left in his wake. Another blue shirt goes down. 4 defenders beaten on Johnny May's mazy run for the line. A second try for him.
Now, above all, France want to avoid scrums. No matter what they do not want scrums on their ball or England's ball, because they get shoved back. England kick the ball into the corners. They have the resultant throw. Whatever happens, France want the ball off the field. They can contest lineouts and lose the ball, but that's all it will be. It won't be penalties like it is if they get pushed back in a scrum.
Curry with a catch. Cruz with the second drive. Hines up into the air. Can England challenge for this? Boutier, good catch. Good follow-up. Tackles. Ludlam is there. That's excellent work. Dembe Bomba. Dupont. A tester for Tom Curry. It's gone backwards from Curry. Aldrit is down injured. Aldrit stays down.
He needs to get up.
Hines again. Last one worked well enough. Romain Untama can't gather it. England will have what they like most, a scrimmage.
In fairness, Eddie, as soon as Demba Bamba came on, you made the point. He's a brilliant, dynamic, young ball carrier. He's not the greatest scrummager in the world.
Well, you would expect here, England hook the ball, drive for the penalty.
There's just been a bit of a shift. All of a sudden, I think England probably see their path into the game now.
I mean, the big difference, Paul, isn't it, is this: if you get in trouble, I've mentioned this, but if you get in trouble in the line-out, you lose your ball. They get the ball back. if it happens in the scrum and you get penalised, it can mean that the opposite team can knock the ball on in your half, you get the scrum, but you end up standing and watching a kick at goal or a kick to the corner. And that's why coming second in the scrums is such a devastating thing, because it costs you not only the ball, it costs you not only yards, it can cost you points as well.
Yeah, it's interesting to see all the top tacklers are French. England have had so much possession.
Beato Mauvaka comes on at hooker for France, just to try and bolster up the front row. This area in particular has suddenly gone sour for France.
Good shoulder, please. Same here, good shoulder, please. Okay. Crouch. Bind. Set. Hold it there.
Curry to Hines, to Ford. Oh, near interception by Rattez. There was a little touch by the French winger. That's a little escape for England.
Yeah, Mauvaka is obviously on. I believe probably he's a better scrummager. He survived that scrum. He nearly didn't survive the intercept. I think he should have held this, really.
Oh, I think he's agreeing with you, Paul.
The ball is still travelling forward. Last scrum, excellent, same again.
Big sign of Sean Edwards' defences. They're always trying to turn defence into attack, looking for those intercepts, looking for turnovers.
Same on just keep the space with you. You happy with that? Crouch.
The halfway line, straight through the tunnel of this scrummage. England go looking for a penalty. Curry has to pick it up, gets it away to George Ford. Furbank. France are back in their 22.
Well, you might be asking,
11.5 minutes to go.
You might be asking why there wasn't a penalty there. England definitely going forward on the left-hand side, but the referees have been told for penalties to be given in that respect, that both sides of the scrum have to be going forward. And Nigel Owens may well have felt that only the loose head, the left-hand side, was going forward.
Overthrow by France. It's anybody's ball for the moment. There's a clash of limbs and flesh out in the midfield. England come away with it, and Tom Curry leads the charge. Hines to Ludlam.
Okay, one hand on the ball, you play on. You weren't winning it, just a hand on it, you play.
Hines tries to slide through a little gap. George Cruz arrives. George Ford has to come in to scrum half, but England pressing again. They have to score twice. I wonder where Johnny May is. He's stuck on his right wing at the moment. Will he come looking for a hat-trick? Jonathan Joseph first. Inside the French 22. Genge and Cruz, and then it's Hoji. Drive on for England. 10 minutes to go. Hines waits. Ford to Sam Underhill, who makes an extra roll to present. Genge comes away with it.
Very much on his own. Where are the supporting players?
Tower over the ball, but now it's been lost. England still in possession. Cowan Dickey. France try and hold him up.
It's a tackle now, it's a tackle. Stay.
It's still in England's possession. Itoje. Elliot Daly. Joseph on the wing. Boutier makes the tackle. England stretching it and then bouncing it into midfield. Curry comes away with it. Leroux with the first tackle. Mauvaka with the backup. Genge to Hines. It's gone loose. Pounced on by Boris Balou.
Unplayable. The last team forward was blue. Scrum down, blue ball.
Well, the crowd are cheering, but I'm sure England would be quite happy.
Blue forward last.
Because they could have lost the turnover, the ball being available, and France definitely kicked this away, whereas now at least they get a chance to have a crack at them in the scrum.
Okay, time out.
Yeah, England look tired. They've had an awful lot of possession. Sometimes it's a bit easier defending than it is attacking. Attacking, you're having to get up off the ground, you have to get back all the time, you're having to carry on to the ball. Some of the England forwards look quite tired at the moment.
There is still time for more drama here in Paris.
Well, you can hear the French crowd trying to lift the team because there's a palpable air of nervousness here.
No, there's a good contest in the scrum and there's no problem.
I think Malvaca, he had a bad line out there. I don't think it was his fault, but he's definitely been a good substitution for France. Scrummaging wise, he's definitely shored up their scrum from the hooker position.
George Cruz, Maro Itoje, they will be giving every ounce of weight. Boris Palou alongside Bernard Leroux, they're not the biggest second row pairing now. And the front row is under pressure. England have a chance here. Ellis Genge on the loose head. Dupont to feed. That's a much better scrum by France. Aldrit comes away with it. Walkie to Bombard. Teddy Thomas, the winger, is in there. Well, France are in no hurry, but they now have that time limit imposed by the referee. Dupont down towards halfway, out of play. France have a breather.
Well, it's a good exit. But here, the important thing from the French point of view is picking off a perfectly static scrum. And as you say, Paul, the introduction of Malvaca has made a huge difference. Solidified everything.
On comes Will Stewart for his first cap in the England front row. Meanwhile, Jonathan Joseph and another tackle by Bernard Leroux. He's not the meatiest of second rows, but he has brought a ranginess to the second row position. France will be looking to mark this. England in full pursuit. Boutier can't claim it. Vates does ever so well to come away with it. Cruz wraps him up.
Just beaten you, okay? Well done, just beaten you.
Thomas arrives to play scrum half. There's a whole stack of forwards outside him, that little group, that cluster of forwards. They just want to eat up the seconds. 6.5 minutes to go. England have to score twice. Palou drives on. England have to let it go. Luke Cowan-Dickey has to release it.
Yeah, that's excellent listening. Let's take him back, okay?
Dupont, long downfield to Elliot Bailey. George Ford. Boutier waits. Elliot Daly won a little palm down, but France then pick up the bouncing ball. Dupont looks up. It's not a bad attacking opportunity. It's a bit slow now. Palou sets it up. Ntamak. That hasn't gone very far. Away comes Willie Heinz. Johnny May, just for once, he can't make ground. George Furbank. Heinz, there's nobody at home there. Dupont is back, as is Boutier. Did they play it? Dupont, oh, very, very calmly done. It wasn't the greatest kick by Boutier, but how cool were those two youngsters under pressure?
That was a good kick by Heinz. Like I say, he thought he had Johnny May on his right. not Tom Curry chasing the kick. It's still a good result. Very calm, cool, collected from Dupont. In fairness to France, they're playing the scoreboard and the conditions quite well. They're not playing a lot of rugby. They're trying to get out of their half as much as possible. They're trying to get out of their own half by kicking. That's not an error that England want.
Oh, Waukee claimed the ball and gave it back to England. Hines up to the 22. Ollie Devoto is on for England in the centre. George Ford has gone off. Owen Farrell goes to outside half. George Cruz is acting outside half. Owen Farrell made the break, couldn't quite finish it. Hines to Cruz. George Cruz. Can he make the touchdown? Held up.
I think so. Held up, scrum, white ball.
Well, that's a very important. Well, if it was a defensive effort, because
the ball was lifted.
try 7 points under the post for. They've still got to work it all right. It's a very advantageous position for them, but it could have been.
Number 10, blue. Time out, please.
Nigel Owens just stops the clock. Mathieu Jalibert is coming on for France. Romain Untermatt comes off.
I don't know if they're going to show who held that ball up, but it was vital.
No need for Wookie to offload there. Lovely little line from George Cruz. Looked like he was going to get over. Boutier's under him. Untermatt's under him. Four of them under him. Great work rate from the French.
Happy with the scrum 5, Brian, yeah? Nothing different to report.
You go over there, definite 7 points. You're just facing a 3-point deficit with kickoff to come to you. England can go over from here quickly. It will still be the same, but a completely different issue.
If he stands up, you stay down, okay? And then I'll deal with the standing up.
And I would suggest that they'll go for a double shove to start with.
Okay, time on, here we are.
It's an interesting one, Brian, because if England take too much time over the scrimmage,
it is, but you've got to at least, if you keep the French back row down, because they've got to stay on for an 8-man push, at least you only have back on back. You don't have back row players flying at you as well.
Time out. Time out. Time out.
Again,
what is the problem?
There isn't a problem, it's called time wasting, sir.
Stewart.
Or I will free kick. Time on.
Time is back on.
Stay down.
76.5 minutes.
Let's go. Shoulder out, stay straight. Crouch. Bind. Set.
It's there for Willie Hines. It's gone loose. Vakatawa can't get it. Somebody has to touch it down. Teddy Thomas does just that.
I don't think he needed to take it out of the scrum.
He didn't need to take it out of the scrum. It was mistake 3.
We had the camera angle from up top, but it looked like Bamba was in trouble to me. Dupont, big play from Dupont.
There's no problem. You stay in.
Such a good tackle by the French scrum half. Still
well,
trouble
Dupont
there.
has been a star today. An absolute star.
Yeah, Marcus here.
He's a great player, but he's a very smart player as well.
And an important factor is that that took up another minute. So time is running out for Eddie Jones's team. They need to score twice, and France have this put in. But this scrum is creaking.
Well, we didn't see the replay. We're not in charge of those. If the ball didn't shoot out and he had to deal with it, it was an error because they were going forward. No reason to let that go.
Aldrit comes away with it. Oh, Gaël Ficou picked it off his toes. Dupont has that cluster again of forwards. It's the replacement hooker, Mauvaka, who controls it. France will be quite happy to go from one of these to the next. Keep the little clusters going. Aldrit on the ball. 1.5 minutes to go. Demba Bomba does his bit. crowd reckon they've done enough. France, that is their own goal line. But the seconds are being eaten up and England can't get their hands on the ball. Last minute, it's not over yet. That'll be a 5-metre scrimmage.
Clock is correct,
I think
yes?
Antoine Dupont can't tell the time.
Well, having said he's been absolutely brilliant, that was just a brain fade, wasn't it?
Great player, but very smart, I just said.
Hey.
Well,
Time out, because I need you to set the scrum.
And we've just had a stoppage on the clock again. Gregory Aldrit, man of the match. He's been in the wars, but he's also been outstanding.
Yeah, he's carried well. In fairness, you've got to admire some of the substitutions the French coaching staff has made as well. Poirot's had an impact. His two coaches did very well. Bringing Malvaca on when they did as well was very, very important for their scrum, because that looked like, for all intents and purposes, the scrum was going to be England's way back into the game.
Virimi Vakatawa is going off. And that's what they think of his contribution. Arthur Vincent comes on for less than a minute.
Keep the pressure, okay?
England have this last opportunity to score. Hines feeds, on comes the drive. Curry controls, it's gone down. Penalty to England. What does Willie Hines do? Checks if anybody wants it. They'll presumably go for another scrimmage.
They will, but little they can do, because even if they keep the clock going and get over the line, that will only be 7 points.
Just if England do score, they will get a losing bonus point, and who knows, come the end of the championship, how important bonus points will be.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a big win for France. You can see how much it means to them. You know, big start for their new coaching staff. And they take a lot of belief from that, particularly their defensive effort, I think. For England, they probably had enough to win the game, actually. They had so many visits into the opposition 22 where they spilled the ball, they knocked the ball on. They didn't play well, certainly. They dropped a lot of ball. Their set piece wasn't perfect, but they had enough to win the game, Brian.
Just to say that Owen Farrell has opted to kick for goal in the rain, just to upset the crowd a little bit, but this is important. This is for the losing bonus point. England trail by 17 points to 0 at half-time. This to score 17 of their own in the second half. France stay ahead, courtesy of Charles Olivon's second try. Farrell adds the penalty. The final whistle goes, and France have won here on the opening Sunday of the Six Nations. They have beaten their old rivals, England, by 24 points to 17.
Well, Paul, I think you were right about the manner of the loss for England. They did have things there, but I think the credit should go to the French for the 3 defensive sets they had either side of half-time, when England had nearly 15 phases each time, went backwards and couldn't convert those scores. That is something we haven't seen for a long time from France, if ever, to be honest. And for that reason, you know, I think they held on and deservedly won.
Yeah, they got a lead. They were probably lucky to get a big lead, but they didn't throw it away. They only conceded 7 penalties. A few of those came very, very late in the game. They were disciplined. They were disciplined in defence. They worked very, very hard. A big performance for France now, and they get belief from that.
France have won their opening game of the Six Nations. They have beaten England by 24 points to 17.
And we're staying with you on BBC One for about another 10 or 12 minutes or so, and after that we'll be on the red button for a forum. So if you want to contribute to that, hashtag BBC Rugby with your thoughts about the whole weekend, not just this match. But Thomas, you deserve the first word here. It wasn't 10, but it was a win.
Yeah, that's a massive achievement for an inexperienced team, but we have seen some players today who really, you know, did a fantastic performance. Dupont, Aldrit, Olivon, you know, all these players made some breaks, but I think the spirit, team spirit was there, the defense was really aggressive, and the English, they never had the opportunity to, well, they scored in the second half, but like, it was very difficult every time they had the ball, so fantastic game from the French team.
Dylan, from your perspective, is there an element of coulda, woulda, shoulda there, given how the second half panned out?
Ultimately, that game was dictated to England by France from the first half, kind of defensive efforts. What I'd be interested to see is England had 6 visits to the 22 and came away with no points. A little bit similar to Scotland yesterday, 8 visits to Ireland's 22, came away with nothing. So I'd like to see them probably go away, work on coming away with something there. That's when you hear a coach say, be more clinical. They need to devise something there to come away with points.
What was disappointing from England is that they knew what was coming from France. For the first time, you had Sean Edwards, you know the defence was going to be strong, and they carried the ball up very simply, not very far away from the breakdown. The runners were hit by 2 defenders pretty much every time. You were given the ascendancy to France. And then Eddie Jones talked about bringing brutality. Where was that? There was very little intensity. It was France really with a calm side. The inexperienced side played with maturity, feeded off the English mistakes, and comfortably won this game. I think we were used to the French mentality of just laying off a little bit. They thought they'd won that game by the second period of the second half, and that's why they eased off and England came back into it.
We'll be hearing from the England captain, Owen Farrell, in just a moment or so. Should just say, actually, I've just been handed an interesting statistic. England have lost 5 of their last 7 away matches in the Six Nations. Make of that what you will. Let's go down to Sonia McLaughlin.
Owen, that first half was really England's undoing. What went wrong from your point of view?
Well, they scored a try off a couple of our mistakes. We probably out the ball a bit too much in our own half. In this weather especially, made a couple of mistakes and then they capitalised off the back of a few of them. And after that we couldn't seem to get a foothold. They seemed to grow a bit in that first half, which you would do when you get a few points, but we kind of seemed to pause. And then in the second half I think we showed what we were about a bit more, but then again after a try that was probably not the way that we would want to defend.
Your players are only human, including yourself. Is there any danger of a mental fatigue after the World Cup?
Oh, I don't think it's due to mental fatigue, no. We were unbelievably excited to get back together, and look, this result's not gone our way, but we've got a short turnaround now to Scotland, and we need to get excited about that.
Can you see Sean Edwards' paw print on that French team? Are they a different prospect, do you think?
Yeah, there was more aggressive from the outside, and as I said, probably in the first half we fed into that a little bit in this weather. It doesn't take much, so second half I thought was a lot better, but we left ourselves a bit to do.
Thank you, Owen.
Thank you.
Well, 2 tries obviously for Johnny May, of which more in just a moment or so. 3 tries for Josh Adams yesterday, and that bonus point that Wales secured in beating Italy means that they are top of the table at the end of this first weekend. And Eddie mentioned it at the end of the commentary there, that England's losing point at the end there, which is why Owen Farrell took that penalty, may well be crucial come the final weekend in the second week of March. Thomas, from a French point of view, I mean, Owen Farrell acknowledged it there as well. Sean Edwards hasn't been there that long, so how difficult is it to get a group of players who you don't know at all to adapt to a different mentality?
I don't think it's the mentality, of course, but it's the desire. And I think Sean Edwards has brought something special. I think just his face, makes the difference. And I think he makes the difference for the French team. And when the opponents are playing against France, they know that the players will be more committed than they used to be. So I think that makes the difference. And every time England had the ball, they knew that the line speed was very strong, very powerful. And as Jeremy said, all the time you had 2 tacklers, on the ball carrier, and that made the difference.
But we never made it difficult for France. We never made them think. It was just go forward and tackle. It was England with 1-2 pass, straight runners all the time. There was no subtlety to our attack, and that made it simple. Then you grow in confidence. What we've done, it's working. You believe. England knocked balls on, more confidence in France. You could see the team grow and the crowd come into the game. It was just
I thought France had more patience. They were prepared to let their defence do the talking. And unbelievably, England, for me, played into it. I think I said at the beginning, for me, England's tactics here should have been put all the pressure on France by kicking into the corners, kicking in behind this inexperienced side and get them chasing back. And if they were going to be then prepared to kick the ball as much as they did, then it might have been a struggle. Then you have a kicking contest. But they were too up for it physically and mentally for the first time in a long time. France were right on the button.
What did you make about the 8, 9, 10 axis for England today? When you haven't got Vunipola there, who is such a big physical presence, does that make a difference?
I think looking at the 8 position, it's a really close skill controlling the ball at the base. I saw Lawrence Delelio at the train station on the way out here, and he said he was a little bit worried about the control of the ball at the base of scrum. Today, we had one little issue there, but I think that the key thing was the 8 never ran with the ball, which made it predictable. Every time the 9, whether it was Hines or Youngs, had to go in and play the ball, which made us predictable. When you've got a number 8 that picks the ball and runs, it adds variety to your attack. So it is a close skill. I'm not sure if Tom Curry's done that a lot in his time playing. I mean, he's only 21 years old, so this would be a great experience for him today.
Talk about back row forwards. Olivon, what a fantastic first match as French captain.
Yeah, he knows he comes from very far, but you could see, his speed and every time, he was there on key actions, and you can see that he's following all the time the ball carrier because he's the kind of guy who's very powerful, but he has the speed, to come at every position. And even there, the try is not made. He still has to run, but he has this ability, and he's really fantastic, and I think he's someone, is a leader too. He came as the captain, and that's very important. And as the captain today, scoring 2 tries was really amazing.
And this is the second try, which I suppose in the end you would say actually won the match for them. Jerry, thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, Superman. I mean, he wins the line out, he gets back up, gets back into the game. Dupont, who could have equally been man of the match, spots the gap, speeds down the touchline, and again, Superman captain Olivon is there in support.
I think Dupont was their key player today. Whenever he got the ball, he seemed to do the right thing. He managed the game very well in the second half, and he had that spark. 2 tries came directly from him. He was fantastic today.
And his kicking game was really good too.
He managed that second half and made it very difficult for England to get back in the game.
In this world of video analysis, there's plenty for England to look at. So let's talk about some of the turnovers and some of the things that went wrong for England.
I just think it was a lapse of concentration for me. I just don't expect it. When you get into the try-scoring areas, you're normally so zoned in. I mean, look at Ireland with Johnny Sexton's first try. That was calculated, that was worked out. The heat's going to come from the try line in defence, and they went round it. Suckered the defence in, went round it. Today, England were just predictable one-out runs. Whilst they were hard, they were one man running into 2 men, giving the ascendancy. Also, the drop balls is just a lack of concentration. You should be primed to the 9s in an atmosphere like this. 81,000 people here in Stade de France, and you should be zoned in, you should be pumped up. Maybe they were just a little bit knocked off their concentration by the France not making the errors they probably expected, and this French crowd really getting behind their team.
I mean, if you look how many carries England probably had near 10 metres from the French line today, it would be an enormous amount, and they didn't score any points from it at all. Ultimately, if we'd even got 3 points from some of those attacks, we'd have been right in the game at the end. So the biggest thing for England is need to turn that pressure into scores. You need a little bit more subtlety against a big, strong team like France, and just going straight ahead, because they could defend it all day.
You mentioned the crowd, actually. A lot of them are still here, and the game finished 10 minutes or so ago because the French team are doing a lap of honour at the moment. It's important not to get carried away, but do you sense in your heart, Italy at home next week, so you would fancy France to win that, played 2-1-2. You don't want to get ahead of yourself, but you might be at the start of something big.
Yes, but we always manage to have some very nice victories in the past, and then it's very hard to confirm. So playing against Italy will be very important. Then we go to Wales and we go to Ireland. So these 2 games will be key, because winning that game, of course, it's a fantastic result against one of the best teams in the world, but we have to confirm. And next games for both teams will be really important.
let's talk about next week, because England against Scotland. By the way, just to say, hashtag BBC Rugby. Any thoughts on what anybody's been saying over the last 10 minutes or so? As far as next week is concerned, would you say to that team, have another go, or do you think there are areas in terms of personnel that Eddie Jones might be looking at?
I think as a team, it was a collective. You know, everyone made errors today. Usually when you've got 1 or 2 guys dropping balls, 13, 14 guys can pick those guys up. But from 1 to 15, guys were making errors all over the field. That's why we had such a poor performance. So I think the best thing to do is basically restart. That's all they can do. Focus on next week. They've got a short turnaround. They've got 6 days to get ready to go up to Scotland, who will be hurting as well. Another game on the road, it's going to be difficult for them. But all they can do, there's so much from that game to improve on. If we eradicate personal errors, we're in that game. And then we create a bit of quick ball, we convert some of those opportunities. The 6 times we're in the 22. We come away with 3.6 points. It's a different result. So as long as they learn, as long as they improve from a couple of things today, eradicate the personal errors, they've got plenty to look forward for.
I think it'll be a horrible week for England, because they'll just be thinking about that game and the mistakes they made. They'll be a bit embarrassed by that performance. All they can do is go up to Scotland and win. And actually, sometimes coming off those sort of games, you have the right mindset for the next one.
Okay, well, we'll continue all this in the forum.